What's good, everyone? Just out here getting after it once again. You know what it is, and I hope all you guys out there are doing just the same, continuing on this journey to be able to create better individuals to give back to your dogs and your family units. Now, I hope everyone's had a blessed Easter, and I just start off here warming up with some push-ups, some body weight movement. Good way to warm up the chest, tries, shoulders for any type of pressing within your workouts. So that being said, this is not the entire workout, but you get the idea. Plenty of volume, plenty of work getting done. Now just jumping on here to warm up the triceps, using the prosthesis. This is one that I'm still kind of getting used to. When you've been doing something one way your whole life, learning how to get around it with something else can be a bit tricky sometimes, as simple as it may seem for others. But all that being said, it ain't going to stop me. I'm going to continue to do what I do and to make it work. Now I've moved over here into some overhead pressing, some military presses. This is one that I'm really excited about learning to build some strength on, to build some good functional strength on, not only to really bring those shoulders up, to build those delts, to build a little bit more symmetry within my body, but also just for the practical use of how much raw strength can be built through some good military presses. And you'll notice just how much I'm trying to control the bar as I come down, whilst I power up through the concentric part of the movement.
You be such a misfit. Hollywood, Babylon, can't resist it. Fuck a cop, bitch, I'm ducking off these big lists. 7 war, be my motherfucking district. Yeah, I still got my money.
Now what's actually happening here is that as the weight starts to shift or move a little bit forward, I'm having difficulty controlling the weight and where the weight is actually swinging through the prosthesis. As my arm is quite short inside the prosthesis, it is just below the elbow. There's not too much of a forearm there to stabilize it. But again, doing what I do, not allowing myself to be defeated. I'm going to get around it and I'm going to keep on pushing. It is what it is. When we find something difficult, it does not mean that we quit. Whether you can or you can't, as I've said in the past, you're always right. Now, as you'll see here, I fail time and time and time again. It's one of those things. A lot of people, they'll come across issues like this. They'll start complaining, oh, it's heavy. Oh, I'm learning how to use this. Oh, I haven't done these before. Oh, I'm not used to blah, blah, blah. It's all bullshit at the end of the day. When there's no way, it's important that we cultivate the man or the woman that finds a way. Because life ain't always easy. Life's not always fair. But it's up to us to make things happen and to see things through. And then when you refuse to quit, you will see that eventually you will succeed.
Ruthless than LA's most forget.
And I get it. There's a lot of yelling and screaming, but don't worry, that's just how I like to train. I like to train intense. I like to carry that energy over into what it is that I'm doing, to fuel the exercise, to fuel the intent, to fuel my drive, my ambition for what it is that I'm setting myself out to do. Emotion can be a very powerful tool when you learn to place it in the right areas.
Never give a fuck. What I gotta say, you can never let us take another motherfucking break.
Now here's another exercise that I'm quite excited to learn to get around. You'll notice I don't really hit depth. That's because the way the prosthesis is designed, it doesn't allow me to get that full flexion. Is that something that I'm going to be able to learn to work around later on? Maybe. But for those form Nazis out there, keep that in mind. If I could hit depth, if the prosthesis would allow me, trust me, don't you worry, I would be. But for now, this is what you get. And overall, I have been quite strong with my pressing in the past, but you'll notice at the beginning, I don't try to push too much weight. Even at the moment, using the prosthesis, I'm not trying to push too much weight. I'm trying to control the weight. And not only that, I'm still learning to control the weight with that prosthesis quite a lot. So until I get used to that, I'm not going to focus on trying to ramp up anything that's too heavy. But I'm looking forward, really looking forward to seeing what I can build and what I can get out of it in the near future. And here I was just talking about not going heavy. Sometimes I can't help myself. So we got 120 kilos on the bar, and then plus whatever the chains are. The chains are there to help make it a little bit more difficult for stability, to make me focus on controlling the weight and stabilizing the bar. Yes, it decreases the weight a little bit as I go down and increases it as I go up as well, but I thought if I can make it a little bit more difficult for me and force me to have to control that weight that little bit more, well, it's just going to make me that much better, that much quicker. Now this exercise here, bodyweight rows, I like to think of them as the push-ups for your back. Great for adding volume to any type of back workout. Here I'm just doing them to warm up the back a bit, rear delts, lats, before I start getting into some pull-ups. So that being said, after the pull-ups, that's going to be the workout there for you. So I'm going to leave you there, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video. Have a blessed Easter, and I hope everyone's all well. I'll catch you again soon.
Hey!